I'm Steve Wilkerson, and I'm with Jim Saunders, Executive Editor of the News Service of Florida. Jim, there's a war going on for the loyalty of women voters. Democrats are talking about a war on women, and Republicans are fighting back with a little different strategy. It's going on in the governor's race, Scott versus Crist, and it's going on up here in Northeast Florida in a very targeted national race between Republican Steve Sutherland and Democrat Gwen Graham. Let's talk about the parameters of this war for the loyalty of female voters.
Well, Democrats seem to be trying to rekindle an issue that helped them a lot a couple years ago when, for example, Todd Akin, who was a U.S. Senate candidate in Missouri, made some pretty controversial statements about rape and pregnancy and abortion, and they seem to be trying to rekindle this issue to get women voters mobilized on the side of the Democratic candidates. This is not just an issue here in Florida; it's an issue really nationwide. But we are seeing it in the governor's race here. We're also seeing it in the this congressional race up here in sort of in the Panhandle between Tallahassee and Panama City.
On the Democrat side, though, it breaks down into certain key, almost wedge issues, right?
Yeah, the Democrats, Charlie Crist, his supporters have been running an ad, for example, that talks about abortion and how Rick Scott has been against women on abortion issues. For instance, Scott signed a bill that requires ultrasounds before women can have abortions. That ad also talks about equal pay issues. So they're trying to reach out to women who are very interested in those types of issues, and get them mobilized, get them to the polls on those issues. The Republicans have been, the Scott campaign has been fighting back with what I think some interesting strategies, one of which is not novel in this race. Basically, they have a tape of Charlie Crist when he was a Republican talking about being right to life or pro-life. So that's sort of a recurring theme on various issues in this campaign, is that Charlie's changed his position. So they're trying to undercut his arguments with women voters by frankly questioning whether he's genuine. But the other thing I think they've done is they've used very effectively Ann Scott, Rick Scott's wife. She has been traveling, going out to schools and so on, which is, kind of helped get her out there. But they're also running a very interesting ad right now that's sort of narrated by her. It shows her and Governor Scott on the beach, and it's, kind of folksy, family-oriented. And I think it kind of, provides a woman's voice on the Scott side of things. And frankly, a lot of people view Governor Scott as being sort of robotic, if you will. And he's always on message, and it's always about jobs, and it's always about, these very structured sort of events and so on. But the ad kind of softens him a little bit and makes him, makes him a little bit more human, if you will. They probably don't like to hear that, but it does. And I think by having Mrs. Scott, the First Lady, involved in this campaign, I think it's helped him a little bit.
Well, in the Sutherland Graham race, this has become also a major sub-theme of this race is some of Sutherland's statements about women and vice versa, and this whole sub-theme of where one candidate is on women versus another.
Well, I think you have to start with the premise that Gwen Graham needs women voters to turn out heavily for her to win. I mean, this is a 50-50 race at this point, or at least it looks like it. And, it's probably going to be Republican turnout. Historically in midterm elections is heavier. The district, basically, the two population centers are Tallahassee and Panama City. And politically, they're very different places. Tallahassee is very strongly Democrat. Panama City is strongly Republican. But everything else is rural, and there's a whole lot of rural conservatives out there. she needs to mobilize not only a Democratic base, but she needs to get women voters out there. There was one of the internet sites came up with an invitation to a fundraiser for Sutherland that happened several months ago, and it was kind of a boys club kind of fundraiser, and that has fueled her campaign a little bit in terms of being able to say, sort of chauvinistic, accusing him of sort of, in a way, being sort of chauvinistic, or the campaign being chauvinistic. There's also an issue about a federal law called the Violence Against Women Act, and he voted against one version of it and voted for another version of it, and that's become an issue as well. So she is definitely trying to, and her supporters are definitely trying to mobilize women voters. On the other hand, Sutherland says, I got 4 daughters. I'm not against women. I got daughters. There was I think it's 4. And they also had a Women for Sutherland rally in Panama City this past weekend. So they're clearly trying to counter this offensive from the Graham campaign.
Moving to another subject, we've talked about Senator John Thrasher and his campaign to become the next president of the Florida State University. Well, he was selected by the Board of Trustees of that university to be the next president. There's another step before the drama is complete by the Board of Governors approving that selection soon after Election Day. Some reactions and what happens next?
I think the reaction was, there's no surprise here. The students and many students and faculty fought the Thrasher application, his candidacy, for months. But they wound up back where everybody thought it was going to go when it all started. I mean, he was named president overwhelmingly by the Board of Trustees. He does have one more step to go, which is to get the university system's Board of Governors to sign off. But, unless there is something just totally out there, that's going to happen. I mean, Senator Thrasher has been in the Republican power structure around here for a long time. And you look around that Board of Governors, including their chairman, Maury Hosseini, who is, a big Republican fundraiser. I mean, they are going to sign off on his appointment. That will happen. There's a meeting November 5th and 6th, and that'll be the date when that actually occurs. So how this plays out long term is going to be something to watch. Will the faculty and students at Florida State, those who are opposed, not all of them were opposed, but those who were, will they keep up the pressure on Senator Thrasher when he is president? And it's hard to tell at this point how it's going to play out. Some of them have been just very, very vocal.
I've been reading, though, from both sides that there seems to be a desire for dialogue. Both sides, Senator Thrasher's been saying that he would welcome the opportunity to speak with some of the people who've opposed him, and I think some of the faculty members, including faculty who were on the selection committee, said, they would welcome the chance to meet with Senator Thrasher. So I'm sure that there will be bruised feelings, but life goes on.
Well, Senator Thrasher immediately reached out to, I believe it's the head of the faculty senate after the selection was made. The head of the faculty senate opposed him. He did reach out to them to try to at least start that dialogue. Senator Thrasher, part of his candidacy calling card the whole time has been, I can raise money. And if he can raise enough money to, come into Florida State, help raise salaries, help fund programs, help build nice buildings, that might blunt some of this opposition that has been out there. I'm not sure it's going to blunt all of it, because a lot of their opposition is based on the fact that he's not an academic. He really doesn't have any academic background. He went to law school, but he's not been a professional academic. So I don't know that concern will ever subside, but he may be able to sort of bridge the gap, if you will.
Thank you, Jim. For more news about Florida politics and government, visit the Advances section of our website.